No matter where in the world, we love Guyana. What are your colors? How do you represent? I love Guyana. Order yours today. We ship worldwide. Delta 9 Media.
One love, one people, the mission complete. One love, one flag, one nation, right? Under the stars, divine presence in the sky. Unity, no war, let the children thrive. Power to the people, we keep hope alive. I'm from Guyana, dreams on fire. Stepped off the plane, so climb higher. Delta 9 visions, I'm a flyer. One love, one life, divine supplier. Roots in the dirt, but my head in the sky. Caribbean heat where the palm trees cry. Sweat off the brow, build a kingdom wide. From the Essequibo to the Delta time. Mama pray loud, stars answer our call. Immigrant hustle, never scared too far. Dollars and dreams, but I'm counting my soul. Patriots blood in my veins, we hold. One love, we rise, no fear inside. Hands to the heavens, blessings collide. Thankful alive, the present divine. One love, one night, forever alive. Planted on the stove, incense in the air. Ancestors whisper, they always there. Lion our spirit, men full of prayer. Trials and triumphs are wearing like flare. Delta 9 meditations, my mind on peace. Breaking chains daily, my soul released. Caribbean rhythm, my body unleashed. Thankful for the now when my joy increased. Man from Guyana, dreams on fire. Stepped off the plane, so climb higher. Delta 9 visions, I'm a flyer.
One love, one love.
One love, one life, divine supplier. Roots in the dirt, but my head in the sky.
One love, Delta 9 family. Welcome in. Welcome in. Who is live with me right now? Can you hear me clearly? If you can hear me and hear me clearly, Team Delta, welcome into the live presentation. So many things on this packed agenda that we got to update one another with. Definitely make sure that you follow the rules. You know, always go over inside Delta 9 Media as you make your way in. Drop the 9 into that comment section and hit the thumbs up button. Yes, that's your ticket and your boarding pass for you to get onto the flight. So many things that we got to definitely update you with right here on Delta 9 Media. It's Turn Up Tuesdays. And if you can hear this turn up on your side of the globe, wherever you are right now, tuned in live, drop a 9 into the comment section so that I know that I'm coming through and I'm coming through clearly. We're going to get straight into the headlines. So many things going on in our beautiful nation and in the diaspora that we got to update one another with. Definitely make sure that you hit that thumbs up button for me, Team Delta, as you make your way in to the flight. Hit that thumbs up button, drop the 9 into the comment section. The flight is boarding and we are about to take off. And as we taking off, I want us to visualize on some good vibes, some vibes that is definitely within our grasp as a beautiful nation. Some things that we got to make sure that we hold within our focus so that we protect what we have, because we will never get it nowhere else. There's only one place you could burn, you know. There's only one Guyana on the globe. They ain't making any more. So if we play around, I'm telling you, more than cat is ready to eat our dinner. Welcome into the live, Team Delta. Hit that thumbs up button, drop them 9s into the comment section. Who is in the live with me right now? Janet, welcome into the live. Thanks for being a part of the live presentation. She's saying good afternoon to the Delta 9 family and Happy New Year. Big up yourself, Janet, and thanks for tuning in. The very first thing I want us to hold in focus as we turn it up on this Tuesday, let's visualize and understand this right here.
Wait, is it really possible for a country to owe $0? Like nothing? No debt at all? Yep. Let's start with Brunei. Oil rich, tiny, and basically pays for everything with cash. No loans, no problem. Next up, Liechtenstein. This little country is packed with wealth and banks. It's so financially stable, it doesn't need debt. And then there's Palau. Instead of borrowing, it gets support from the US in exchange for defense agreements. Smart move. So yeah, 3 countries, 0 national debt. Makes you wonder what the rest of us are doing. Wait, is it really possible for a country to owe $0? Like nothing? No debt at all? Yep. Let's start with...
Is it possible for a country to own or to have 0 debt, right? But as we understand it, this might be a possibility for Guyana right now. Let's hear from the person at the head of finances in our beautiful nation. Let's listen.
We have today, as we speak, we have saved in the Sovereign Wealth Fund resources that are sufficient today to pay off our country's entire external debt. If we were to choose to do so, we have enough savings in the Natural Resource Fund to pay off Guyana's external debt and still have some change left back. We have today, as we speak, we have saved in the Sovereign Wealth Fund resources that are sufficient today to pay off our country's entire external debt. If we were to choose to do so, we have enough savings in the Natural Resource Fund to pay off Guyana's external debt and still have some change left back.
We're doing well. If you ask me how we're doing great. If you ask me how we're doing, things are nice right now. You understand? So we got to make sure that we hold that in our focus as we move forward. Because as you know, ladies and gentlemen, the things have turned from bad to worse, and persons around the Caribbean with the positions of power are speaking out about the things that are going down in the Caribbean. Let's hear from the Honorable Leader of Barbados.
Naive, and we understand that where large powers contend, large powers very often will want to show testicular fortitude, and that testicular fortitude may have negative impact and implications for small countries such as ours. I wanted to say Happy New Year to each and every one of you, but the last 24 hours have proven to be exceedingly challenging, and it is important that we speak to the country to be able to ensure that on the multiple fronts that we have been affected in the last 24 hours, that we keep everyone up to date and to let people know that things are under control with respect to the consequences that we are now currently facing. It is fair to say that what we saw happen last night in Venezuela is uncharted territory. It is also fair to say that what we saw happen in Barbados last night must also become a thing of the past. And to that extent, the law enforcement officers have also met with me, so that I am here for dual reasons today and not just one.
Room for the first time following his capture Saturday. Nicolas Maduro has pleaded not guilty to charges of narco-terrorism. The charges also include cocaine importation, conspiracy, and possession of machine guns and destructive devices. The Trump administration used the charges to justify capturing Maduro and his wife in the weekend U.S. military operation. Maduro telling the judge this hour that, quote, "I am a decent man, the president of my country." His lawyers are expected to challenge the legality of his arrest, arguing that he is immune from prosecution as a sovereign head of state. Let's get more reaction now. Joining us is Mitchell Epner, former federal prosecutor for the District of New Jersey. Mitchell, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I want to get your reaction, I guess, first of all, to some of the proceedings that are going on. I think mostly expected that Nicolas Maduro was going to plead not guilty, but what do you make of what you heard from him in a New York courtroom just, again, a few minutes ago?
So I've been following along. Obviously, I'm not in the courtroom, but from what I've been able to read from credible sources, I think that Maduro is completely out of his element, and it's made today's hearing a little bit off of the usual. Because, for example, he said, no, I have not reviewed the charges, and I don't know what my rights are. And I suspect that that is accurate because unlike people who live in the United States who are sort of steeped in this is how American criminal justice moves forward, and even your Canadian viewers just...
Not guilty. That's the conversation that everyone is tuned into around the world. I'm telling you, people are talking about it every part, every continent. Welcome into the live. If you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, take a couple of seconds, thumbs up the live. Welcome into the live. P.A, one of our very insightful moderators, checking in with us right here on Delta 9 Media. Good afternoon, venerable host, Delta 9 Media, and all the astute patriots in the chat. Guyana and the diaspora. Hope you're all well as we see the dictator Maduro get his own. I'm telling you, get what is coming on to him. What a time in our beautiful, beautiful nation. Just recently, we had a lot of confrontations going on with said Venezuela, right? And they found themselves in the company of persons like certain prime ministers who soon will be named on a international platform. You're going to see it is going to be all over the place because a lot of persons are talking about the far-reaching implications. Who are these leaders from the Caribbean that are being implicated? And a number of other tentacles that's reaching far into the political space in our diaspora.
From watching American-made TV would have a basic idea. A Venezuelan is likely not to know how the system works.
Right, and so that's curious too. What does that mean for the case then, Mitchell, at least at this point, and from where you sit and seeing that play out?
So what it means is that things will move more slowly in court, but not in a way that will significantly delay the cases. For example, I think today's hearing likely would have taken about half of the time if you were dealing with a defendant who said, yes, I'm familiar with my rights, I've spoken to my lawyer, I understand the charges against me.
Telling you, not guilty, and I don't understand the charges. That's the conversation on International News Syndicate. This is what's going on the ground.
The United States empire attacked Venezuela directly through bombing, through terror. From a very personal experience, my name is Christian Picho Ortiz. I am from the Afro-Venezuelan National Cumbe, the state of Miranda, a state of Afro-Venezuelan and Afro-Indigenous people. I heard right next to my home detonations, bombs. My mom was scared and crying. My siblings were scared and crying. I told them to get up, get the pets, and calm down, because we were going to stand up. We understood immediately what was going on. The United States empire has a history of domination towards the people of the global south. This is no casualty. In Haiti, the recrudescence of militarization has only been getting worse day by day. The bombing in Nigeria is only getting worse and started not that long ago. The killing and genocide of people in the Congo, in Sudan, in Palestine.
I'm telling you, persons all over having different views about what went down right next door in Venezuela. I'm telling you, so many shifting parts. What's going on with migration on the ground in Guyana? Updates from those situations and more right here on Delta 9 Media. Devanan, welcome into the live. Devanan is saying, good night, family. Big up yourself, King. Welcome into the international connection. I'm telling you, it's Turn Up Tuesdays, and we want to say condolences to all those who would have lost loved ones, right? And rising power to those who would have lost their unearthly experience because of situations that went down just recently in Venezuela. Condolences to those who are still grieving their loved ones. A sad situation, a sad time for our region, and a break from the peace that the Caribbean is, more popularly known for. Tracia, welcome into the live. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to Delta 9 Media. Big up yourself, Tracia. Same to you, and welcome into the international connection. It's Turn Up Tuesdays, and there's so many things that we're updating each other with right here on Delta 9 Media. Big up yourself, James. Thanks for tuning into the live. And this is a young Venezuelan sharing his sentiments on the whole situation.
The supposed armisticio, I don't know how to say that in English, so search for that word, armisticio, that has killed more than 600 Palestinian people. They have no access to anything. And now they come here, trying to take our resources, bombing us, trying to attack us directly, and taking President Nicolás Maduro and the First Lady, Cilia Flores. We understand that this is no casualty. They're trying to recompose the geopolitical balance of the world. They have to recompose the empire that is in decadence and dying. They are the drug traffickers. They are the inhumane people. They are the ones that want to destroy the model of life. Here we believe in the communes. We believe in popular power. We have beautiful projects that help me, my family, that help everyone.
I'm telling you, the views of young Venezuelans on the ground. Guess who else is having a conversation about these things? The United Nations met. And this is a collective of all the leaders from around the world, right? Colombia had a conversation. Venezuela themselves were here and they had a conversation. The US was here, representatives, and they had a conversation that was presented as well before the United Nations. Let me listen to some of these details, buddy, so we could understand as many aspects to this matter so we could get a good foundation on what's really taking place. Venezuela, Caribbean, the diaspora. One love. Take a couple of seconds. Thumbs up the live team, Delta. We cruising.
At a particularly delicate time for international peace and security, I'd also like to thank Undersecretary General for Political Affairs and Peace Building of the United Nations and the invited briefers. We thank them all for their briefings. This is the first time Colombia is taking the floor in the Security Council as a non-permanent member for the period 2026-2027. Colombia is taking on this responsibility with a deep sense of duty, and we are going to do this from the first day, defending international law and the purposes and principles enshrined in the United Nations Charter. International peace and security, the peaceful settlement of disputes, the prohibition of the use of force, sovereign equality, respect for the territorial integrity and political independence of all states. Colombia condemns categorically the events that occurred in the early morning of the 3rd of January in Venezuela, where we saw multiple explosions and air activity over Caracas and other areas of the country as part of a military attack carried out by the United States, which included bombings of civilian and military infrastructure, creating panic amongst the population. All of this represents clear violations of the sovereignty, political independence, and the territorial integrity of Venezuela. There is no justification whatsoever under any circumstances for the unilateral use of force to commit an act of aggression. Such actions constitute a serious violation of international law and the United Nations Charter, including the prohibition on the use or the threat of the use of force, the principle of the respect for sovereignty and the full authority of states over their territory, including their natural resources, the territorial integrity of states, and the principles of collective defense, particularly when they directly endanger the population and civilian assets. Defending these principles is not an option. Indeed, it's a common obligation that we have in order to preserve international peace and security. We need to remember that the provisions of the Charter allow for the use of force only under exceptional circumstances, in legitimate defense in the face of an armed attack, or when there is an express authorization by this Council in accordance with Chapter 7. And even in those cases, this does not amount to assuming political control of another state. In this regard, we reject any unilateral military action, any act that could worsen the situation or endanger the civilian population, and we would call for a de-escalation and non-resort to the use of force, which endangers people finding themselves in this delicate situation. They must be the absolute priority.
The people must be the absolute priority, because ultimately the ones on the ground, the regular man and woman in the street, are the ones with the most and always lose the most, right? So the people in the country, every country, Guyana, Colombia, Venezuela, the US, all over the world, we are the ones that we got to make sure we considering during these very trying times around the world. No, Colombia had this to say. And because these presentations were a bit lengthy at the United Nations, we're not going to play the entire presentation for every country. Just so that the life could move forward in a timely manner, we're going to give you 5 minutes of every country's presentation. So let me listen some more to what Colombia had to say before we move on to another country, so we could understand the views that were presented at the International Gathering of Nations.
We have learned from our experience that the civilian population is always the one that pays the highest price in armed conflict. Mr. President, Latin America and the Caribbean have proclaimed themselves to be a zone of peace, and this collective commitment and will of our region must be respected. Unilateral action that is contrary to international law endangers regional stability, increases insecurity, and worsens the already complex conditions being faced by the civilian population, with devastating effects that will transcend the sovereign borders of Venezuela to have a direct impact on countries of the region, such as Colombia. In order to act preventively, Colombia has engaged in measures to protect the civilian population and preserve the stability of the border, addressing the possible needs of the population, particularly the migrant population, in coordination with local authorities.
I'm telling you. So Colombia done realizing, hey, this got far-reaching implications. These problems could reach at our front and back door at any time. Plus, I don't know if persons are familiar, but President Trump already said, listen, Colombia got to watch themselves because the name calling and they're being implicated in certain things that could find them in similar situations. I'm telling you. So Colombia had that to say at the UN. Now, let's hear from another country that was present for this gathering. The next person up, the Russian Federation. Let's listen to some of these details.
Our conflict between the United States and Venezuela need to be resolved through dialogue. And this is precisely what is enshrined in the UN Charter, for purposes and the principles of which a number of states in recent years have begun to apply selectively, depending upon the political landscape. Today, we are reaping the consequences of their recklessness and selectivity in matters related to respect for the norms of international law, which were linked to the so-called rules-based world order. Here is your rules-based world order in all of its glory, which is horrifying even the staunchest Atlanticists. Mr. President, we extend our firm solidarity with the people of Venezuela in the face of the external aggression. We firmly support and completely support the policy of the Bolivarian government, which is geared towards protection of their national interests and the sovereignty of the country. Washington's aggressive acts have already been condemned by many states and multilateral associations, including the Non-Aligned Movement, the African Union, as well as a group of friends in defense of the Charter of the United Nations. We hope that the international banditry will immediately be met with objective and comprehensive assessment at the international legal level with United Nations, universal mechanisms, and other multilateral formats being brought to bear. This process must not be impacted by the recognition or non-recognition by any given states or groups of states of the legitimacy of Nicolas Maduro. For this reason, unintelligible murmurings and attempts to avoid principled assessments by those who, in other circumstances, froth at the mouth and demand that others respect the UN Charter, today seem particularly hypocritical and unseemly. We hope you will recognize this, and we hope that you will abandon double standards and that you will not attempt to justify such an egregious act of aggression due to a fear of angering the American global gendarme, which is attempting to once again rear its head. We are particularly appalled by the unparalleled cynicism with which Washington did not even attempt to conceal the true aims of its criminal operation, namely the establishment of unbridled control over Venezuela's natural resources and the assertion of their hegemonical ambitions in Latin America. In this way, Washington is generating fresh momentum for neocolonialism and for imperialism, which were repeatedly intended to revisit and to abandon their dangerous misconceptions. As we stated during previous meetings on Venezuela, the bell now tolls across the region, ringing for every country of the Western Hemisphere. The bell is ringing for all UN member states and for the future of the organization itself.
Well, pretty much the conversation is similar to what we would expect to come from Russia. Let's not forget that Russia presently having back and forths and conflict with the US. So we expect them to have those tones and perspectives, right? We heard from Colombia. We got a chance to hear from Russia as well. Everyone in the comment section. Ronald, what's going on? Welcome into the live, buddy. Good afternoon, Delta 9. You can remember what happened in Libya when the US removed Gaddafi. What happened? It was madness. Everyone was fighting for power. It was sad. But they are just hoping that we don't see further chaos erupting in Venezuela, because I know that there's a lot of persons that are still loyal to Maduro. So we could see a situation where this migration thing could become even more rampant. Our brothers and sisters in Venezuela could find themselves going through a lot of years of hardships ahead, or you never know, things could find themselves sorted out in a short manner of time and move to betterment for persons in that region and in, you know, everybody involved. Vision, what's going on? Welcome into the live. Delon, what's going on? Welcome into the live. Thanks for being a part of this international connection. Butch is saying Russia is busy bombing Ukraine and saying America is bad. I'm telling you. Powerful point, Butch. And thanks for dropping those insights into the comment section. Definitely a big salute to all our service men and women that would have executed a flawless mission. There was a report that no loss of life on the US side. So that's always something to celebrate for every citizen of the United States of America. Now we got a chance to hear from Russia. We got a chance to hear from Colombia. Let's listen to another nation that was present in these conversations. China.
For reading out the briefing of the Secretary General Guterres. I have listened carefully to the statements of the briefers, and we welcome to this meeting the permanent representative of Venezuela and representatives of other countries. On January the 3rd, the United States blatantly launched large-scale military strikes against Venezuela, forcibly seized Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, and took them out of the country. It claimed that it will run Venezuela and even didn't rule out launching a second round of military operations on an even larger scale. China is deeply shocked by and strongly condemns the unilateral, illegal, and bullying acts of the U.S.
I'm telling you, China going against it, as we would expect as well. Another nation that is kind of in this silent conflict back and forth with the US. There's a competition, there's a conflict, and it is bubbling between the US and China. And it's been like that for a while. These are the views expressed by the representative for China at the United Nations after the situation went down with Maduro.
For some time now, the international community has repeatedly expressed grave concern over the U.S. sanctions, blockade, and threats of force against Venezuela. The Council convened 2 emergency meetings, during which Secretary General Guterres, many Council members, and countries in the region and beyond unanimously called for abiding by the UN Charter and the international law, maintaining calm and restraint, resolving disputes peacefully, de-escalating tensions, and safeguarding regional stability. However, as a permanent member of the Council, the U.S. has disregarded the grave concerns of the international community, wantonly trampled upon Venezuela's sovereignty, security, and legitimate rights and interests, and seriously violated the principles of sovereign equality, non-interference in internal affairs, peaceful settlement of international disputes, and the prohibition of the use of force in international relations. These principles constitute the fundamental tenets of the UN Charter and form the cornerstone of maintaining international peace and security. The US has placed its own power above multilateralism and military action above diplomatic efforts.
PA, a very insightful moderator, is saying this: the United Nations are a bunch of Trump haters. They are an arm of globalists whose Agenda 2030 is being stymied by the excellent work of President Trump. They are angry about that. Big up yourself, PA. Thanks for dropping insightful commentary into the comment section. Remember, the hotline is open for all of those who might have views about these situations and a number of other things. Let's not forget, the Mohameds went to court today and the proceedings begun for the extradition of the presumed opposition leader. So Guyana is in for some very, very trying times. Yunus, welcome into the live. Thanks for being a part of this live presentation. Yunus is saying that American diplomats should tell China to go to hell. Jimmy is saying greatest president ever. Thanks for being a part of the live presentation, Jimmy. Pick up yourself.
posing a grave threat to peace and security in Latin America and the Caribbean, and indeed internationally. China firmly opposes this, and the international community has also expressed widespread grave concern and strong condemnation. We urge the U.S. to heed the overwhelming voice of the international community, abide by international law and the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, cease infringing upon the sovereignty and security of other countries, stop toppling the government of Venezuela, and return to the path of political solutions through dialogue and negotiations. We call on the U.S. to ensure the personal safety of President Maduro and his wife and to release them at once. We support the Council in fulfilling its primary responsibility to maintain international peace and security, and we support all efforts by the UN Secretary General, regional countries, and organizations that contribute to promoting dialogue and de-escalating the situation.
Telling you, China is saying, listen, release them. Release them. What are your views, Team Delta? Drop it into the comment section. Call it in. The hotline is definitely open and active. We would have heard from China. We heard from Russia. We heard from Colombia. Last I checked, Russia and China are two nations that are a part of BRICS, right? And Colombia is a supporter of its closest neighbor, who is, at one time used to be a part of one nation, La Gran Colombia, which is Venezuela, from back then, right? There's historical ties between the nations as well. Now let's get a chance to hear from the representative of the United States.
On the people of the United States for destabilizing the Western Hemisphere and illegitimately repressing the people of Venezuela. As Secretary Rubio has said, there is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation in furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades. The United States arrested a narco trafficker who is now going to stand trial in the United States in accordance with the rule of law for the crimes he's committed against our people for 15 years. A similar action was taken in 1989 against Manuel Noriega. He was arrested, indicted, convicted in a court of law, served in prison in the United States and in Panama, and the Panamanian people, the American.
Telling you, similar situations. And Yunus is saying this: United States of America needs no lectures from communist China. Big up yourself, Yunus. And thanks for being a part of this international connection. We're live right here. It's Turn Up Tuesdays. So many things that we're definitely updating each other with. We're now getting into some of the opening yet very important and trending topics. Yeah, Ronald is saying China have one of the biggest investment in Venezuela. I'm telling you, China got big money involved, right? So there might be a lot of far-reaching implications with what went down right there between the US and Venezuela. They're probably plotting right now, Ronald, I'm telling you. But I gotta watch yourself if there's the case.
American people are safer for it, and undeniably, the region was more stable. This law enforcement action was directed consistent with the President of the United States' responsibility as Commander-in-Chief to protect Americans at home and abroad against a fugitive who is directly responsible for narco-terrorism that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans and created destabilizing violence throughout our hemisphere. Nicolas Maduro and his co-defendant, Celia Flores, have been transferred here to the United States to stand trial for their crimes. Maduro was indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York and faces very serious criminal charges for his involvement in a wide-ranging conspiracy to conduct narco-terrorism, to traffic cocaine and other drugs, and conducting international weapons trafficking. The overwhelming evidence of his crimes will be presented openly in U.S. court proceedings. Colleagues, Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president. He was not a head of state. For years, Maduro and his cronies have manipulated Venezuela's electoral system to maintain their illegitimate grip on power. In fact, just 2 years ago in 2024, a UN panel of experts report found that the election in that year was absolutely and completely a farce and fell well short of the most basic transparency and integrity measures essential to upholding credible elections. If the UN...
Credible elections, one of the things being raised as a reason, right, for some of what might have went down right there, illegitimate elections, oppressing the people. We're hearing a lot of similar things, you know, a lot of similar things that is familiar in other neighboring nations that really need to take account. And we're not going to call the name of the nation just because it's dear to our heart, right? Tracy is saying this: when Venezuela was threatening Guyana, I hear the United Nations, but now Venezuela got boomed. Everybody got insights. It's a sad situation. Certain actions, certain, you know, aggression that they was bringing towards Guyana has got persons divided, even now and even on the ground. Because if you think about it, the enemy of my enemy is always going to be my friend. So as a lot of persons from Guyana and a lot of persons who might definitely be in solidarity with persons in Guyana and a lot of persons in Venezuela that might be in solidarity with, you know, persons in the US with their sentiments about what is going on right now with the Maduro situation. Persons are celebrating. There's a lot of persons that are celebrating the situation. There's still a lot of loyalists, and definitely some interesting days ahead for persons in Guyana, Trinidad, Venezuela, the entire Caribbean, and the diaspora.
And the United Nations in this body confers legitimacy on an illegitimate narco-terrorist, and the same treatment in this charter of a democratically elected president or head of state. What kind of organization is this? We should note that over 50 countries, many nations, including the European Union, including a number of Latin American countries in the region, and of course the United States, again, over 50 countries rejected the legitimacy of Maduro's re-election following the disputed 2024 elections, and do not recognize him as Venezuela's legitimately elected president.
I'm telling you, so many things that was said at the UN. What was going on the ground? What was going on the ground while this was taking place? Let's see. Let's take a look right here at some scenes from Trinidad.
To the world. A 19th century declaration of entitlement that has no moral, legal, or political legitimacy in the 21st century. It asserts that the Caribbean and Latin America are not sovereign spaces, but U.S. property. Its modern first cousin, not far removed, the U.S. national security strategy, is simply empire with updated language that cites preemptive violence, economic strangulation, information warfare, and the deployment of proxy governments to discipline nations that dare to exist outside US capitalist control. Venezuela's crime was never authoritarianism, it was sovereignty. A potentially thriving socialist state chose to nationalize its resources, drive toxic, exploitative US corporate interests out, and insist that Venezuela's wealth belong to Venezuelans. And for that, the country has been subjected to years of sanctions, blockades, financial isolation, and coordinated destabilization. Policies that international experts and UN rapporteurs have repeatedly identified as collective punishment, starvation as strategy, collapse as the goal, with the final salvo being Big Brother, supposed self-appointed world police, to the rescue. Let us again be clear. The humanitarian crisis in Venezuela is manufactured.
That's right. That's right.
Very real to the people experiencing it, and in no way discredited as horrific lived experience is real and important. But yes, multiple things can be true at the same time.
I'm telling you, those are the views, some of the views coming from the ground in Trinidad. What are your views? Drop it into the comment section. Call it in. We are live right now on Delta 9 Media. Staying updated with these very important and very trending global affairs, right? So we got a chance to see some of the views coming in from Trinidad. These are some of the views coming from other parts of the globe.
She is outside in Arepaso, which we know is the mecca of the Venezuelan community there. And Gabby,
things pretty busy behind you, Gabby. It's 6 a.m. and people have been out there. Can you tell us about what you're seeing and how long you've been seeing people out there reacting to this news?
Guys, history is being made in real time. There are hundreds of people here in El Arepaso, which, like you said, has been the mecca for Venezuelans speaking out against injustices in their country for decades. I'm here joined by Edgar. Edgar has been here since he was 11 years old, born and raised in Venezuela, out here since early this morning. Tell me, why did you want to be out here?
Well, okay, before I begin, I just want to talk to you, America, and I hope you have your coffee when I tell you this, but these are great news. All eyes on Venezuela. These are historical news. This is history in the making. I mean, my chest, it feels like it's gonna explode with joy, because before I was even born, there have been struggles. My family has been fighting for so many years before I was even here. They have told me about it. They told me about a time where democracy existed, and now I can finally look forward to that. And that's just everything that I can ask for. And you know, I just want to tell you people, America, Venezuelans are good people. The great
who feels it, knows it. Youth man say you only used to hear this conversation about when the country used to have affluence, when persons used to live within a democratic situation within that country, right? Feel it all within his chest, the joy, right? That's why you got to make sure you're subscribing. Delta 9 Media is going to bring you both sides. And if they get more sides, we're going to bring those sides to the story. Thanks for tuning in and for making this live what it is every time. Every person in the live presentation right now dropping insightful commentary. Persons that are going to watch this in the future, in the rewind. Big up yourself. And thanks for being a part of Delta 9 Media.
There's people that I know, I can vouch for them. We are good. We are working hard, and this is President Donald Trump and Maria Corina Machado just created an opportunity for us to begin working harder than ever. because that's what we have always been doing. But now we will be working in our country. But we also have worked so hard here in the United States to build so much things. And I just want to thank you, America. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to work.
There's a lot of pride that comes with Venezuelans. He actually wore this flag just like this for his college graduation in the University of Florida, just to show you how much love there is for this country that has gone through so much for so long. Being here has been incredible. People are dancing, people are cheering, and we've been here so many times, Christian, like you said in the past, when there have been so many issues, and they would cheer, "Si se puede, si se puede." Now they're cheering, "Si se pudo." Yes, we did it. It happened. What do you think now this means for Venezuela, for family back home, how people can move forward after this?
Well, that's where the uncertainty comes. I plead, America, again, I plead for you for mercy for us Venezuelans. People such as me, I have been here almost my whole life. All of
Definitely a time for us to remember mercy. It's not that long that we're coming out to Christmas celebrations, where we're talking about mercy and goodwill. A time for us to definitely remember that, because there's a lot that our brothers and sisters in Venezuela and a lot of those affected regions will need as we move forward into 2026. Chuck-in. Thanks for being a part of the live. Wow, I can't believe this. I gave you the best 4 years of my life, and this is how you repay me. I'm utterly disgusted. Trying to understand if this commentary, probably someone else in the live that he's conversating with. Suzanne, welcome into the live. Thanks for being a part of this live presentation, all right? Now, Trump is so refreshing. After the do-nothing Democrats, and they wonder why no one listens to them anymore, because Democrats are mentally unstable. Thanks for being a part of the live presentation, Susan, and for dropping insightful commentary into the comment section. Goomba, thanks for tuning in. Goomba is saying this: they chose how they want to live. Don't force democracy on them like a criminal. I'm telling you.
My youth, and I do believe that the future of Venezuelans is in Venezuela. But I also think that some of us and some people here also want to continue working here in the United States, building a beautiful nation. Doral. I mean, this is the stronghold of Venezuelans, and it's a beautiful city. I recommend everybody to come here to Doral. I recommend everybody, if you're Venezuelan, everyone, come down here to Arepaso. Yes, yeah, come celebrate with us. We love everybody because you, America, has loved us so much.
Susan is saying, I'm so happy for Venezuela. Praise the Most High. J2 is saying fake propaganda. Pangea is saying Venezuela cheers. Will lift turds cry like little girls. Okay, I think I read that incorrectly. Venezuela cheers while the left turds cry like little girls. Big up yourself, Pangea. Thanks for being a part of this live presentation. So we're getting a chance to see different sides of what's going on. We heard from the UN. We heard from persons in the street. We get a chance to hear from Venezuelans. We're hearing from persons around the globe about their views on what's going on. World leaders who are presenting their, views and the views of those in the positions of power in that collective. As we go through this situation, we definitely got to make sure to hold those that were affected in condolences and make sure that we always remember that we are one race on this globe, the human race, and we got to look out for one another, because ultimately, when your neighbor going through it, your situation can be affected as well. And we're all neighbors on this planet that we all love and enjoy. We all got our own ways that how we enjoy it and how we interact, and different cultures that we might hold close, but ultimately we still human beings, right? And ultimately we all have loved ones, and we all have humanity and caring for one another.
So much. Thank you, America.
Igor, thank you so much for sharing those sentiments. Guys, this is something that I find really interesting here. Everyone here, American, Venezuelan, have said they're so happy for the freedom that they experience here, and they just hope that freedom translates into their home country, Venezuela. All we've heard was freedom, freedom, freedom. Yes, we did it. Now we can continue to move forward. By no means are any of them saying now comes the easy part. Certainly the hard parts are on the way, but they're
hard part on the way, telling you. Very, very far-reaching implications to what's going on within our region. Slick Nick, welcome into the live. Slick Nick is saying Trump is the king, peace warrior of the world. Thanks for being a part of the live presentation, Slick Nick. Cheats, welcome into the live. Saying Trump rules. Yep. So much going on. So much going on around the world internationally. Persons are giving these insights.
Now is finally a step in the right direction that they've all been waiting for so long. I want to give you a little bit more of a scene setter here, guys. Look, people with flags, holding them up, holding them high. Hundreds of people here, cars, playing music, everyone here dancing. It really is wonderful to see so many people coming together. There are a lot of emotions behind this. I mean, they're not just cheering because of what just happened today. This comes from generations upon generations of stories of struggle, stories of hurt, stories also of hope for a better country and a better life for their family in Venezuela. Since I've been here, I've seen countless people FaceTiming their family members from Venezuela, checking off on them. Like we said, these strikes, we still don't know if there have been any casualties. We have had a lot of people here checking off on their family.
Telling you. Look at the celebration. And there's persons that are from Venezuela that understand the intricacies of the politics and everything that's going on the ground. Marcia, thanks for being a part of the live presentation. Good evening to Delta 9 and all. Thanks for being a part of this live presentation, Marcia. Dwayne, what's going on? Greetings to Delta 9. Big up yourself, Dwayne. Thanks for tuning in.
All of the FaceTimes have been answered. A lot of things we still do not know. But overall here, the sentiment is hope. Like we said, we covered this in the past. A lot of times we've heard people cheer, si se puede, puede, and now they're saying, si se puede. Now we did it. Guys.
Gabby, it's so loud behind you that we actually we can hear you, but we can't hear you as clearly as we could maybe a half hour ago when we see the jubilation, right? The joy behind you of people that have been sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for this moment. Still unclear, where things will go, if there in fact will be a regime change. And I don't want to sound negative because by all indication, that is where we're going, but there's a lot of question, a lot of concern. You see a lot of celebration behind you, but of course in Caracas, Venezuela, there is a lot of fear of what happens next.
Yes, Gabby. And have you felt that while you've been there interacting with people, have you felt that there is any sense of fear? Or you felt like it's just been right now, everyone's staying pretty much positive?
Well, you know what, it's mixed, right? I'm glad you asked that. You know, there's a lot of emotions, like we said. Like I've mentioned, though, there are a lot of people that are FaceTiming, WhatsApping, trying to get in contact with their family, especially in Caracas and overall. From the family that we did hear back from, they say that their families are okay. Obviously, still very much shaken with the strikes that happened early this morning, but overall, we have not heard yet of a report of a casualty or family members that are not answering them back. Actually, the opposite. We heard several family members in Venezuela that are celebrating at home quietly despite everything that's happening right now.
Telling you, jubilation, celebration. Marcia is saying them Venezuelans in Jamaica are rejoicing. I'm guessing you left out a couple letters there. So I'll finish the word. I'm guessing that was the word right there. Them Venezuelans in Jamaica are rejoicing. Probably can't wait until they can return home to their nation, right? Get on with different things that they would have had planned before this little interruption. Calvin, welcome in. Calvin, welcome into the live. And thanks for being a part of this international connection, buddy. Calvin is saying this. It's time for Trump to look into Guyana as well. I'm telling you. But we hope it don't got to reach that situation like this, where persons got to be apprehended and all kind of thing because of the corruption that's going on in Guyana. As some of the things that the US was reading out, that Trump was going on with, that not Trump was going on with, that Maduro was going on with, that the US representative was reading out. There's a lot of similarities. That's why I speak about it earlier. There's a lot of similarities to what some persons allegedly just be going on with right in Guyana. I'm telling you.
Now in their home country. So it is very interesting, but of course this is still very much developing. We'll be hearing more stories throughout the morning. So of course stay with us because we'll be here all day.
Scenes from New York. And by now, I'm sure that a lot of persons know that President Trump is being held in New York. I'm telling you, so many things going on. With that, so many developments that we're going to keep you updated with about that and a number of other things taking place in our beautiful nation. Well, just today, right, the Mohameds were in court. And as we know, the stay was not granted for them to not move forward with the extradition proceedings. So those proceedings got underway today in the court. And these are some of those developments. We're definitely going to make sure that we keep you updated with all of these very important matters.
When the extradition hearing has commenced, with the witnesses, one witness called today to put in the relevant documents which form the request for extradition and which form the request for extradition and which contain the evidence in support of extradition. So that's what's happened today, and which will continue on Thursday.
Why were you were able to get the court to proceed with the committal proceedings, given that there were several objections, several pleadings, literally begging the court not to proceed to them?
Well, the court ruled as in applying the law, there was no stay. In fact, the stay was refused, and there was no further stay. And the Chief Justice had ordered that the proceedings continue. And the principal magistrate applied the law, we say properly, in pausing proceedings, ordering the proceedings to commence this morning.
A number of offenses were listed this morning. Why weren't these made public earlier, local offenses?
Well, it's not the practice in the Caribbean for you to make a list of the local offenses before the proceedings start. The law in Guyana is that the authority to proceed must be expressed in terms of the offenses in the requesting state, that is the U.S. offenses, which is what we did. But submissions at the end of the day will be made as regards the double criminality principle, which includes necessarily the local offenses which would relate had the conduct occurred in Guyana. And that's why we were able to answer that when the court asked us, because as part of our preparation, we have already started working on the submissions that we'll make when that arises.
And how many witnesses you have in this particular process here?
Mr. McKenzie handles that part very much carefully, but it will be under 3 to 5. But please don't quote that. Let me say, presently we're calling 1, and there will be police officers, or 1 police officer, 1 or 2, and I think that will form the evidence.
The other thing is the court, in a sense, denied the evidence with respect to the order to proceed by the minister. Yes. The court did not allow that to be admitted into evidence. Are we going to see the minister coming forward to verify that document?
Let me not forecast anything, because we are still in the middle of this witness. So let us see what happens as progresses on Thursday.
Let's see what progresses on Thursday. No forecasting. We don't want to give any hints as to how we're going to proceed. That's the approach being taken by the international team, right? We're going to get a chance to hear from Mr. Mohamed's team as well, right here on Delta 9 Media. So if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you are subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it keeps you connected with everything trending in Guyana and in the diaspora. Right?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No matter where in the world, we love Guyana. What are your colors? How do you represent? I love Guyana. Order yours today. We ship worldwide. Delta 9 Media.
One love, one people, the mission complete. One love, one flag, one nation, right? Power to the people, we keep hope alive.
A natural way to stay ready, baby. Cause I'm ready for you, Mr. C. The ultimate male supplement. Men's total wellness formula. Packed with essential nutrients for men's health. She'll call you Mr. C.
100% wild-crafted sea moss. Only the best, cause you deserve nothing less. 8 Butterfly.
I know today was a lengthy day, but I want to start off with the application for judicial review. How important was it? How important is that case? And I know it's still live in the High Court. Tell us about your arguments today with regards to that, and also the appeal to the full court, and again, a request for stay.
Well, I'll start with the constitutional application which we filed, which you know that the Chief Justice discharged, we refused. So we yesterday filed an appeal to the full court, and we filed a concomitant application for a stay, which we expect to be heard soon. We don't have a date as yet from the court. So that is pending, and that is a continuation in the march towards the ultimate arbiter, which we believe is the CCJ, to decide these issues. In relation to the judicial review application, that is a very important application because we are challenging in that application the authority of the minister to issue an authority to proceed. We would concomitantly be challenging the arrests and all the related proceedings. We would also be raising for the first time a number of arguments which we would have raised on the first occasion in order to get bail, where we highlighted the fact that Mr. Azruddin is a politician, he's the leader, the presumptive leader of the opposition, the leader of the Win Party. We would have highlighted in that application the bias, the animosity to the point of hatred, which would have been displayed by the Attorney General, would have been displayed by the Vice President and the President and the Cabinet as a whole, of which Ms. Baldwin is an essential.
And a Master T. Hatred that's being expressed by a number of persons. I'm telling you, this situation got a lot of far-reaching implications. More than 100,000 persons would have taken their opportunity to express their sovereignty and voted for Team Win, voted for Mr. Mohamed. Right now, Guyana is moving with a partially functioning parliament. Well, to be honest with you, parliament ain't even really functioning because they meeting since the first meeting, but we know that our brothers and sisters are still out there and they're still doing the work and the service to the people. We got a lot of videos up here showcasing a lot of that, but we're hearing what Honorable Mr. Ford is presenting right here. He's saying, listen, there's an obvious bias going on in this situation. And who you are going to bring for the say-so in the case? Wait, man. We got to hear this directly from counsel. Let me hear who they bring, buddy.
Member of, we believe that we will have documented in those affidavits the fact that she is biased, and by extension, she should not or be in position to issue an authority to proceed. These are fundamental issues which have not arisen before because of the peculiar nature of this case. So that is
fundamental, because how you gonna get a person who's a member of the same political party, right, that go up against this person in an elections just recently, now having the say so on if there should be proceedings in a case as significant as this? There might be some amount of bias, you know, and just given professionalism, right? Certain persons should say, listen, man, it's not going to look good for my integrity if I should have the say so in this. I might want to give this authority to another, you know, neutral body in this situation. But listen, I'm telling you, this is what legal counsel is saying right now. Let me hear a little piece more just for emphasis.
could have been displayed by the Vice President and the President and the Cabinet as a whole, of which Ms. Waldron is an essential member of. We believe that we will have documented in those affidavits the fact that she is biased, and by extension she should not or be in position to issue an authority to proceed. These are fun.
I'm telling you, you shouldn't be the one saying if you should proceed.
Fundamental issues which have not arisen before because of the peculiar nature of this case. So that is pending, coming up on the 14th before the Chief Justice. So those are very important applications that we have pending in.
You base your arguments largely today with, on that judicial review, the application for judicial review, the application for a stay to be granted. Now, the court did not necessarily, in fact, the court did not heed it to your request, your team's request. Do you see this as a major blow? And could you respond to statements by the Attorney General that this is all part of a delaying tactic by your team to drag the process out?
Now, we would have highlighted, and you would have been present in court, we would have highlighted by way of a note and authorities about 6 or 7 cases which indicate that in relation to judicial review application which pending in the Superior Court, that the lower court should not proceed. There's an added dynamic in this case where the magistrate herself is a defendant in the very application in judicial review proceedings in the High Court. We would have pointed out 6 to 8 cases or more where in those circumstances the magistrate ought not to proceed to hear the case. The magistrate proceeded to hear the case. We do not consider it a major blow, but it's another one of the things that will occur in this case, which we ultimately will be rely on as we proceed further in the process, which will be forming part of the entire corpus of the case and in terms of the errors that are being taken place in this matter. So we will be raising that at a future time at the Superior Court. We do not consider it a major defect, and we remain resolute that ultimately, either through this committal process that has commenced today, or ultimately by any of the available means that we have, we will employ them, we will pursue them, and we will ultimately be successful. Now,
they will employ all the means to ensure success in this case. Y'all here we're going on 18 Delta. Stanley is saying this: Mohammed is not going nowhere. The AG is making this case political. Big up yourself, Stanley. And thanks for dropping insightful commentary into the comment section. Thanks for being a part of the international connection. I'm telling you, it's Turn Up Tuesdays right here on Delta 9 Media. And PA, our very insightful moderator, is saying this: there are many Guyanese refugees in the diaspora as well. We, like the Venezuelans, are prevented from visiting because of the current regime's policies. They need the Maduro treatment. I'm telling you, they got enough people that is skeptical and think 3, 4, 5 times before they go to Guyana, because they know just, from the past how persons were dealt with. I'm telling you, sad situation. Big up yourself, PA. Thanks for dropping those insights into the comment section. Helena, thanks for tuning in and being a part of this international connection, right? Africa will be next. Watch out. Wow.
the public must understand that I mentioned before, G.NANDLALL, as the Attorney General of this country, has himself demonstrated, in my respectful opinion, and the first time I'm saying it, behavior that is inconsistent and improper as the Attorney General. He has to decide, on one hand, if he's an actor.
We gotta hear that again so we could understand clearly. And for emphasis, the Honorable Mr. Ford is pointing this out.
Or ultimately, by any of the available means that we have, we will employ them, we will pursue them, and we will ultimately be successful. Now, the public must understand that I mentioned before, G.NANDLALL, the Attorney General of this country, has himself demonstrated, in my respectful opinion, and the first time I'm saying it, behavior that is inconsistent and improper as the Attorney General. He has to decide, on one hand, if he's an active politician, and to the extent that he's an Attorney General, the holder of an office, the head of the Bar of Guyana, he's required to conduct himself in an appropriate way. Our society has gotten so docile to the extent that we allow office holders to do whatever they want. It is improper for Mr. Nandalal to be making the statements that he's been making the comments that he's been making, whilst at the same time being the chief architect and chief advisor to the government and government ministers on these issues. So his position fundamentally is one where his only concern is that this process must continue, it must start, and it must go to the end. We have a different objective. Our objective is not to delay. Our objective is to ensure that on each and every step of this matter, that our clients receive justice according to the law, not justice according to what Nandalal feels, what he thinks, and by political machinations which he can employ if he wishes. We are well aware of what is happening in the country.
Telling you. Political ramblings. That was the views, as you can hear right there. Right? A lot of far-reaching implications in this one, because will the Blue Canary continue to sing and expose a lot of details? I'm telling you, we're hearing and seeing receipts being exposed and persons being asked to leave. Even right now, persons are contemplating, by hey, the man done move me one time. No idea, so people calling for me to resign and them thing. I wonder if I can be in a position of power again, or be put in certain positions as I'm in right now. Because these situations got some far-reaching implications for real. Y'all see what's going on right there with Maduro?
Be well aware of what's happening in the system. I don't need to go further and to underline what I'm saying. We are intelligent people, and I know when to stop at the point of effectively communicating what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that there's great political machinations taking place in this case. You can't be blind, you can't be dumb, you will be hearing and you'll be seeing. And that is the fact. So in the context of what is going on, it is mind-boggling that a number of things are happening, but we remain resolute that we are not delaying the matter. We are seeking to ensure that this is a fair hearing. You political machinations which he can employ if he wishes. We are well aware of what is happening in the country. We are well aware of what's happening in the system. I don't need to go further and to underline what I'm saying. We are intelligent people, and I know when to stop at the point of effectively communicating what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that there's great political machinations taking place in this case. You can't be blind, you can't be dumb, you will be hearing and you'll be seeing. And that is the fact. So in the context of what is going on, it is mind-boggling that a number of things are happening, but we remain resolute that we are not delaying the matter. We are seeking to ensure that this is a fair hearing. You would have seen me point out to the court. And this is quite amazing. It's almost, if it wasn't that serious, it would be a joke and laughable. We pointed out to the court, after she demanded that the case proceed, she demanded that the witness go into the box. And for the first time, we raised the issue with the fact that up to now, but up to then, we were not in receipt of the local charges. We pointed the authorities, we explained it to the court, and at that time, notwithstanding the witnesses were called, or the first people was called to give evidence, we were not in receipt of something that the court effectively conceded was required. When we received it, if we believe the receipt of the information is still insufficient, it's still not as required by law. We were told for the first time, less than 2 minutes before, that the case will proceed. That cannot be fair. We are entitled, and I read the relevant paragraphs of the authority to the court, indicating that we are entitled to notice and to time. But we see this overwhelming urgency on the part of the government, and even to some extent through the representatives of the United States, to ensure that this matter proceeds with some degree of alacrity. We don't have a problem with that. We hope that all the court matters could proceed with this level of alacrity, so that we could have a remarkable judicial system.
Them are rushing certain things, right? If only everything moved. If only everything moved like that. Guyana. If you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, take a couple of seconds. Make sure that you are subscribed to Delta 9 Media. It costs you nothing to subscribe, but it will keep you connected to every single thing trending in Guyana and in the diaspora. So hit that subscription button, buddy. Make sure you stay connected so you'll be able to pop in to the Delta 9 live connection again.
So to the extent that this is only restricted to the Mohameds, to the extent also that it seeks to deprive them and deny them of their fundamental constitutional right to a fair process, I will not participate in anything that is a sham. I indicate to the court that we're bordering to some extent to making this a joke and making it a kangaroo court, because I can't understand that a minute before you're telling us that we must proceed, a minute later we're not in position to receive the local charges, a minute after we receive the local charges and we must proceed. So it's clear what is happening here. There's this desire to have these matters heard to the extent that it overrides and deprives our clients of a fair.
Mr. Doshan, you made several objections in the court today with regards to the diplomatic note, the verification of such, and also the order to proceed with regards to the witness that was brought today verifying those documents. Could you just sum up the rationale or your reasons behind those objections?
The documents that are sought to be tendered in evidence against the Mohameds, and I must say, all of the evidence against the Mohameds at this stage are strictly papers. We will not be able to question or cross-examine or test the veracity of any of these witnesses, many of whom are abroad, some of which are local, most of whom are anonymous, unknown witnesses. It therefore means that the procedures to admit paperwork as evidence have to be strictly compliant. In this case, we will say that those procedures were not compliant, and we made those submissions. And it reached a tempo when I was so frustrated I had to say that not even in a custody case, not even in a trivial narcotics case, would this be permissible. Why is it being permitted? Or why is the prosecution asking the court to permit, in this case, paperwork evidence where the chain of custody is broken? The witness gave away the paperwork, never saw it again, and comes here in court for the first time to identify it. No unique identifying features. So we were very concerned. We continue to be concerned. But all of these things will only result in one outcome, and that is the complete discharge of these proceedings at one stage or the other. At one point,
the complete discharge of the situation in one court or another. What are your views about that, Team Delta? Drop it into the comment section. Call it in. Let me make sure that I put the banner on the screen. Feel free to call in.
or another court. Make no mistake, the Mohameds are not going anywhere. These extradition proceedings will be overcome.
Either of the gentlemen, how would these offenses, alleged offenses that we heard this morning, how would they be treated with in this particular?
No unique identifying features.
Counsel is saying that Mohamed is going nowhere. Let's hear that, the emphasis.
So we were very concerned. We continue to be concerned. But all of these things will only result in one outcome, and that is the complete discharge of these proceedings at one stage or the other, at one court or another court. Make no mistake, the Mohameds are not going anywhere.
Mohameds are not going anywhere. Definitely words that 100 and more thousand persons can celebrate to, can hold on to, and say, listen, there's still the foundation that we would have put in there to represent us. And from what we could see going on the ground recently, Team Win has been out and about and definitely making their presence felt in the political space. And we feel like if they start turning up the heat yet on certain matters,
these extradition proceedings will be overcome.
Either of the gentlemen, how would these offenses, alleged offenses that we heard this morning, how would they be treated with in this particular process?
Well, what happened this morning is that Mr. Ford and Mr. De Silva had to bring to the attention of the prosecutors, who really ought to know these things, that the local charges ought to, the equivalent of the foreign offenses ought to be made known to the defendants in local language.
So many things going on, so many legal implications. PA is saying this, what Anil never talks about in his monologues is the fact that Mohamed lost by seizure $5 million US of gold. Since that seizure by the Americans, gold price has more than doubled. So we're looking at almost 15 million. That's a hefty sum. A hefty sum indeed. Thanks for dropping those insights into the comment section. Let's continue listening to what the legal team had to say about the proceedings in court today, the Mohamed extradition hearing.
So if they're wanted for theft abroad, you have to say larceny in Guyana, because we don't have theft in Guyana. So what they did was they spoke, they provided 8 or 9 possible local charges that each count in the indictment might equate to. We do not know which one matches with which. We do not have particulars for these. So they said conspiracy to commit a felony, conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor. So everything that they could have possibly heaped at us, they heaped at us. This is most unfair to the defendants, and more will be borne out on this in time.
How soon do you see an end to all these proceedings and all these matters that would have been addressed in the court so far?
Well, that's a matter solely within the remit of the court. It could be a matter of days, it could be a matter of weeks or longer, depending on how things progress, because there are a number of variables in play.
A number of variables in play, and you can't really call it as a matter for the court, right? Now, persons all over are giving their views about what's going on in these situations. Big up yourself to Snow, definitely giving us some insights on these matters. Let's see what's going on right here.
If they have to, if he's guilty, extradite him and lock him the fuck up. But until then, that man is innocent until proven guilty, just like every other offender or potential offender in this country. You cannot be judge, jury, executioner, all in one. That is a dictatorship. That is the same thing we condemn the PNC about. Now I see us practicing it. Do you not know how detrimentally dangerous that is to the future of this country? Parliament needs to be convened. A new full government needs to be put in place. And thank you so much for showing us what loopholes would be used. Because as soon as Parliament starts, there's the expectation that a bill needs to be passed to change that loophole in the law, and a stipulated timeline needs to be put in place for the swearing in of every position in government. Okay? Because if it was done to you, I would have stand up and fight like a warrior for you.
Everybody calling a spade and giving Jackie jacket. Telling you, Miss Campbell is saying this. They want to see their good friend go to jail. The same people that helped them go into power in 2020. Telling you, big up yourself, Miss Campbell, and thanks for being a part of this international connection. Paula is saying good evening to all. Greetings, Paula, and thanks for being a part of this live presentation, right? Big up to everybody that's in the comment section, to everybody that drop insightful commentary and make these live presentations what they are. Thanks for definitely spending some time with us here at Delta 9 Media. Colbert, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of this live presentation.
I would have brought the masses to back you up. To Mr. Byron Jackdale, Excellency, Vice President. Sir, we had a conversation about this stuff prior. Told you I would do my part to make sure A.P.N.U did not come. I did my part. What I'm expecting to see.
Christopher is saying, I can't believe this guy is a senior counsel. Big up yourself, Chris. Thanks for tuning into the live. Tracia is saying, I'm not much into politics, but this situation is good friends turn enemies. Mohammed know a lot of the regime. They want him to shut up. Telling you.
It's fair play. A fair country. We need fairness. We need fairness. Errol, why would anyone want to put a criminal that is going to jail in Florida for 20 years? It doesn't make sense. Errol, here's the thing. How can I call that man a criminal if the man has not been tried? This is the whole thing. I understand. We may not like the man, but this is bigger than the man. And this is why I'm talking. This ain't got nothing to do with Mohammed. This got everything to do with manipulation of the political electoral process and the swearing in process. This is where I'm coming from. I'd give a fuck less about Mohammed and worry more about the future of this country based on these actions.
Powerful point. Very, very powerful point. Because if you let these things slide, just like certain persons at the United Nations meeting was just mentioning that every nation moves with sovereignty, right? And they move without the interaction and the interference on certain levels from outside interference from persons that are not citizens or part of that country. So it's we, the persons that got an affiliation with Guyana, that got to be serious about what's going on. How come up to now there is no opposition leader? What really going on, buddy? They got all kind of thing going on in Venezuela. We supposed to having all types of political meetings and, you know, everybody coming together, holding one head and moving forward on a real unified front. But right now, division. Right now, no opposition leader. The speaker still traveling till a day like today. He Christmas holiday ain't done yet. All kind of thing going on, man.
Swear the man in, then lock his cunt up if that be the case. In fact, make an example that even if you were in parliament, you could get locked up and you could get extradited, you could get flown out for breaking the law. In fact, I would love to see that happen, to send a message to everybody else in parliament that if you want to do stunt with the Guyanese people and you want to rob you and do nonsense, you can get locked up and pull out. Never play you too big to get locked up. Nobody should be exempt from persecution if your persecution leads to hurting a lot of people or defrauding people of their choice. Now, I support the P.P.P. I support democracy.
I telling
What
you,
is happening right
people
now,
calling them out.
this is not democracy. Right? This is the manipulation of law. It is not fair. Right? This is not fair. The world is watching. So I'm calling upon Mr. Nadir, the Honorable Speaker of the House, to remember where you came from, sir. As a child, you were identified to me as a potential hero of this country. Heroes don't do evil. Heroes don't see injustice and turn a blind eye. Villains do that, not heroes. Be a hero. Now, Ramesh, Errol is a very educated man. Don't be fooled. Right? Good people. I just hope you guys don't be calling each other names. You see, politics and difference of views got people calling each other. Don't do that. Oh. Both of y'all are decent people. I know both of you. You're both decent people. Maybe different opinions, but you're both good people. Don't fight because the leaders don't know what they're doing or they're doing the wrong thing. Never should the people of Guyana fight among each other. Those leaders got their own agendas, and it's different than the agenda for the population. Please. Please, I'm so tired of seeing brilliant people take opposing sides to try to get the same answer. No, we should be working together. We should be working together, ladies and gentlemen. And one of the main things we need to do in 2020, we had all of these defenders of democracy. I have not heard one so-called defender of democracy speak about this violation of democracy yet.
Powerful point.
Like all the defenders of democracy were just P.P.P members. I don't know. I was a defender of democracy, but I wasn't part of the group. I didn't get a badge, Scott. Me ain't get none of that. Right? Errol, even if the man gone in 7 days, they still need to swear somebody in. Somebody needs to be sworn in the interest of actually having a government. Most of the things that are happening currently right now, Errol, are illegal in accordance to our Constitution. Spending is happening without an opposition to check the cap. Appointments are happening without an opposition to check the cap.
Telling you, a situation that is very questionable. Very, very questionable. Very questionable. But let's get a chance to hear directly from the Attorney General.
It is the similarity of the conduct, however described. If you send gold out of the country and you use the American system and you don't disclose the true value of the gold, that is an offense in America. If you do that in Guyana, is that not an offense? If you don't declare rightful value of goods for the assessment of customs duties, is that not an offense in Guyana? Those facts, do they not constitute an offense in Guyana?
Definitely an offense in Guyana.
Of course they do. And they are charged with conspiracy and so on. Here are the things. Here the act go on to section 5.3. Each extraditable offense, however described, shall be deemed to include an offense of attempting or conspiring to commit or aiding and abetting, counseling or commanding or procuring the commission of or being an accessory before or after the fact. These are what you call inchoate offenses. The cohate offense includes the inchoate offense. If you are accused of committing the cohate offense, then it includes a charge of the inchoate, of an attempt. It can include that, and that has been included in their indictment. Fraud. Fraud denotes dishonesty. It's fraud they have been accused of as well. Fraud is an offense in Guyana. Dishonesty, obtaining money by dishonest means, that is the act, however described. That is what the law says. Going to some obscure country to quote a case that was decided in a different statutory framework from Guyana, and then importing it here and trying to argue that it applies. It's not ethical. It's not ethical. Why you think that there is no reference to cases decided in Guyana and the Caribbean, other than Baridata Ram case, which we have dealt with at length? Why you think there is no other case being dealt with? Being referred to, sorry. A case is being cited from a country named Malaysia, where the statutory framework is different from that which is set out in the Guyana law. You don't have to get a case, you read the statute. And a major objection I'm hearing that they have made, because they're arguing all of this on the corridors of the court to the press, and nobody must respond. They must articulate their case outside of court. They said that the lawyers were appearing for the US government did not give them the equivalent offenses. First of all, as I said to you, there is no equivalent offense. That's a wrong description. And if you don't read and understand that, conceptually you will not understand the requirement of the section.
Telling you. The AG saying, listen, you gotta read and understand what's going on with the matter. I'm telling you, this thing getting real heated. So many situations, so many very trending and very important matters going on.
So that's the first thing. Secondly, they want it before the hearing. They want it before the evidence is adduced. So the big objection, I am told this morning, and Mr. Ford explains it so that I could understand, because I'm not in the court, in that court. He says that the magistrate the prosecutors didn't produce this equivalent offenses. When the law says that after the evidence is taken, then the issue of whether the offenses are extraditable arises. Not before the evidence is taken. Today, the evidence commenced. You had one witness in the witness box. The evidence has just begun to be taken. And I am not talking off the top of my head. Section 15, and again I ask the press to fact check me, Section 15 of the Fugitive Offenders Act subsection 4. Section 15 deals with how the proceedings take place in the committal hearing.
Telling you, a full explanation, in depth, the codings coming in right there from the Honorable Attorney General. Our insightful moderator PA saying this: I've never seen an American news report on the Mohamed's case. Only in Guyana is the case a daily news item. Why is this done mostly by Anil, BJ, and Ear Fraud? Who's Ear Fraud? Ear Fraud. Big up yourself, PA. Thanks for dropping those insights into the comment section. Marcia is saying this: it is only Mohamed alone. A lot of PPPC are friends with the Mohamed, and they knew all of them was doing. They knew all of them was doing so. That is PNC, A.P.N.U supporters, business. They all know each other. Insightful commentary coming in from Marcia. Cheryl, welcome into the live. Cheryl is saying, good evening to Delta 9 and all the right-thinking Guyanese. Let the truth be told. What the hell Anil is saying? He is the jack of all trade, master of none. These people are living in a dreamland. Thanks for being a part of this live presentation, Cheryl. Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Greetings, blessed Tuesday evening.
What's going on, King?
To you and all the listeners and the watchers. Yes.
Yeah, man.
I keep hearing this Attorney General.
Mm.
He behaving like this Guyana want to convict this one for the crime. Like this is not the UFC. The way he behaves. You understand? I'm listening, it's like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what's your problem? And then you come in using a lot of big words that most of the people on the street they understand what you mean. You understand? Speak to people with words that they understand the meaning, all these words you go to explain. Yeah, this one is sanctioned by the US government. They sell sanctioned to the extradition.
Yeah.
Why did you pushing this thing is like this man comes like it's you guys who want to extradite. Like he commit a crime in Guyana besides the tax and the taxpayer.
But the case dropped. The GRA case would have had to drop the GRA case.
You see? But this conditions still, you see that man, if you get time, man, look who that man was watching. Maduro, bigger fish, man, is little fish compared to Maduro.
Yeah.
You understand? Then these guys, some of these people need to stop storing up and making certain propaganda, telling me, yo, bro, I know these Venezuelans. It's another step Trump got to take now for going to the country. It's not that it's easy said to himself, but he gets exactly what he wants for now. You see?
Yeah.
And there's the only problem Guyana got to worry about is overflow of Venezuela running into the country. Because they have no border security or protection to stop these people. The soldiers like joke. The military is joke. They don't train like they used to train in Pakistan. When I was born, I'm saying they train real militant out.
Yeah.
So they them 3 lakhs of collecting bread and running in and doing what the PDP tell them. Look the picture with when they're talking to them. Guys, say what they like it. What would they force this group? What, about 6 or 7 of them? And they spread out like I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And they posting up that is the military to secure Guyana border. Bro, the time is taking to spend all the money behind Mohammed, take the money and put it into your military. Strengthen your military. Their proper ammunition. Some of the people in the street get more heavy and more high-tech ammunition than the army.
Yeah.
You understand? So the time you're focusing on Mohammed, focus on protecting your border. The all of them ones, Brazil and not so them, but it's a price to pay. You see? So
that's what they're forgetting.
To relax on this thing and the government needs to focus voting this man and done. Let's done, bro. If the US wants him when they come from, you can make the decision how to get out. You see? Are you listening?
Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Thanks for calling in. The business of the nation must move forward. That's the views of a lot of Guyanese at home and abroad. Call it in. What are your views? Drop it into the comment section.
And subsection 4 of section 15 says, where an authority to proceed has been issued, and one has been issued here, in respect of a person arrested as referred to in subsection 1, and the court of committal is satisfied after hearing any evidence tendered in support of the request for the extradition of that person or on behalf of that person, that the offense to which the authority relates is an extraditable offense, then blah, 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 blah. I don't want to read the whole thing to you. Let me read it carefully. Where an authority to proceed has been issued, and that has happened, in respect of a person referred to in subsection 1 as a person who is before the committal court, and the court of committal is satisfied. The court of committal has to be satisfied after hearing any evidence tendered in support of the request on behalf of the person that the offense for which the authority relates is an extraditable offense. In other words, the committal court must be satisfied after hearing the evidence that the offense is an extraditable offense. Not before hearing the evidence. So it's after the evidence is in, which is the bundle with all the evidence and the charges. Once that is completed, then the next step is the magistrate will have to determine, after hearing arguments from the lawyers, that the offense is an extraditable offense. It is then when you have to examine the offense in the bundle, the charge, the conduct of those, of the individuals, and then examine whether those conduct constitute an offense in Guyana, however described.
But what we want to know is what's going on with the business of Guyana. We're hearing a lot of situations about what's going on with the Mohameds, with the extradition, with this political party, the political party. But what about the persons that gave these political parties their elected power? Right? What's going on with the business of the country? There's a big altercation going on right now in Venezuela. What are some of the things that the government and the opposition is coming together to make sure that the people are unified so that we can hold a front, a unified front in these very pressing times in our nation. What's going on with that? Right? But for that, there has to be a functioning parliament. And for that, the leader of the opposition, who is the same Mr. Mohamed, would then have to be sworn in. I'm telling you, very interesting times in our beautiful nation. If you haven't already taken a couple of seconds to thumbs up this live, take a couple of seconds, buddy. Thumbs up the live. It costs you nothing, but it will help to keep you connected to Delta 9 Media. Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Hey Delta, let me correct you quick. I got a couple of points. Let me correct you quick. Mohammed is not the leader of the opposition. Mohammed has more of the opposition. He's just a parliamentarian.
Well, let me say this. With accordance to the usual proceedings within our nation, the person that is the head of that party is usually what?
Usually, but you have to be on.
All right. So don't play them type of games. We know what's going on.
Games? He's not the opposition leader. It's not a game. That's no.
Well, if the situation went forward, right, the way that normal proceedings would go when there's elections in Guyana, what would be Mr. Mohamed's position that he would hold?
Normal procedure. The law tells us
as constitution holds. Let me stick to constitution. We stick into constitution. According to constitution, what would be the answer to that question I just posed?
According to the constitution, the speaker has to inform the clerk.
No, there's not the question I posed. The question I just posed is, in accordance to the Constitution of Guyana, right? The person who is the head of the largest opposition party would usually sit in the position of hello?
I hear you.
No, wait. Someone is trying to call on the other line. You hear me now?
No. You hear me now?
I hear you, man. Yeah.
The law. Mohammed, I'm not hearing you.
Hold on, this person keeps calling. Caller that is calling right now from 718. I'm going to give you a call.
Let him go ahead, okay? He's not the opposition.
Yeah. Caller. One second, caller. Person that's calling in from 718, in a couple of seconds, we're going to give you a chance to be live on the presentation. Just a few seconds when we conclude this call. I'm listening to you.
Do your thing.
No, we're listening to you. You had a presentation. You was giving us some information.
Right. Mohammed is an ordinary parliamentarian, nothing else.
Yes. But in accordance with the Constitution, remember they got younger persons listening to us, you know. Right. They got persons that might not understand. I'm telling you what the
Constitution is.
Yes, but I posed the question and you never gave no answer to the question so that persons could understand. There are persons all over the world watching.
Under normal circumstances, you said.
Yeah. Mr. Mohammed, under normal circumstances, in accordance with the Constitution of Guyana, the person that is the head of the largest party in opposition would hold the seat of what in Parliament?
That's not true. They vote. They vote. If they vote, if they decided that he is, then he is.
Has there ever been a vote against in the history of our politics?
No, because they never had situations like this.
So then what are you saying?
Where you have three oppositions.
Yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
So they could vote for whoever they want. Yes, he got the most people, so you would think that he would be the opposition leader. He's not. He's a parliamentarian, an ordinary parliamentarian on still the opposition vote.
Hey,
for him
you
to
are
be
the
opposition leader, he's just in parliament, sir.
I understand this, but we're playing, we're playing a game. And I enjoy the banter, but ultimately we always got to remember the Constitution is the ultimate law of the land, right? And we can't run around it.
Saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. The law.
Yeah.
Mohammed case is a very easy case. He's going to America. He's going to be extradited. I am the person that asked if Roy Delford is a senior counsel. He's trying to, these people are losing so bad. Okay? The Home Affairs Minister, because she was in another party, if it was a Anquita, okay, or Iguana, that was the Home Affairs Minister,
yes,
they turned the paperwork over to the court. It's an easy case.
Yes.
This is an easy case. He's getting more. You're saying that the law is not working, and this man gets all this lawyer and everybody talking. And
who's saying what? I'm saying what?
I'm saying everybody is saying he's not getting a fair trial. This is not a trial.
No, this is not. That's not the trial. The trial is in the U.S.
Right. What this is if there's enough evidence so he could be extradited, and yes, it is. Say what?
No, I'm listening. I'm listening to what you're saying.
Right. Roswell Ford went to the High Court because the magistrate said she's not sending it. It goes to the magistrate first.
Okay.
Then you go to the High Court. Then you go all the way up to the ICJ. He will be singing that Blue Canary. Will be singing with P.D.
I hear you. Thanks for calling in and for sharing those insights with us live right here on Delta 9 Media. Have a good rest of the evening.
The Constitution. Thank you.
Constitution every time. Very insightful and entertaining caller. Thanks for being a part of the live. Greetings, you're on to Delta 9 Media Live.
Yeah. I am not a Mohammed fan. I'm not a P.P.P fan. But the truth has to be told.
Yeah.
When people come on these live and speaking of their own personal feelings towards somebody, they are not honest.
Yeah. That's why I keep bringing it back to the conversation. Yeah.
The person who won the second largest within the election is and the leader of the party become the opposition leader. I'm reading it right now.
All right. You see, look, hold on. Thanks for highlighting that, and thanks for bringing the conclusion to it, because it was asking the rhetorical question. I know, and I know that he know that I know. No, I know that he know that I know, and I know that he know that a lot of persons know, but I wanted him to make sure that he put it in the record, because persons around the world might not know. You understand me? Yeah. But read it into the record.
This position was first established in 1966 by the Constitution of Guyana. Historically, the leader was appointed by Governor General of Guyana.
Okay.
I'm reading it. You see when I come with a thing, I just like to go see facts.
All right.
Next thing is, there's a trial going on right now for see if there is enough evidence to the US for extradition.
Yeah.
So they got to fight the case for Guyana before, and if he's proven guilty, they could easily come and get him.
Okay.
That's why they said this thing could go out to the Caribbean court.
Okay.
You see? So this guy is calling him with a lot, with his feelings. I'm speaking about facts. And when I come on any platform and speak, I don't speak with my feelings again. I speak with the fact, the truth. I don't care if I don't like the man or this do like it. But you have to speak the truth. And when you come saying things like that, the man is not an opposition leader.
Yeah.
Then you have a problem with Mohammed himself.
Yeah.
So who is the opposition leader? Nothing is not in that everybody. He's the first person that come on the internet and said that foolishness.
He's probably just, saying presenting because of his political views.
Yo, then they go down the research. Before you come with your receipt. You don't have no receipt, don't come on and talk stupid and stuff like you said.
He's just giving it.
And when you come with those types of information, you could confuse a lot of them when you're too smart. I hear listening.
Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Thanks for calling me.
Anytime.
Somehow I feel like the caller before was just trying to be, polarized in his presentation. But let's listen some more of what the Honorable Attorney General was saying.
Is that simple English language? And when they are not getting their way, they accuse the courts of bias. They accuse the courts of unfair treatment. They accuse the Attorney General. They accuse the government. They accuse the President, the Vice President, and the Minister. And they are misleading the population in their articulation. Another one of the defense counsel I heard said that he had to remark that this is even a cost case, a cost charge. That's the exact word he used. Or a narcotics trial is not conducted this way. That the entire extradition hearing is done by paper. And they can't believe that it is done by paper. My people, extradition proceedings are done by paper. There is no witness that comes, only the formal witnesses to tender the paper. Because the papers, the charge, the evidence, they come in paper form from the requesting country. That is the nature of extradition. So yes, it's different from a cost offense. It's different from a narcotics trial because it is not a trial. It is a committal hearing, and you get committal by paper.
A committal hearing, committal by paperwork. Where are these people? That's what the defense was asking. Right? So much going on, so many developments, and we're hearing directly from the Attorney General. We heard from the defense of Mr. Mohamed. We also got the chance to hear from the prosecuting team that was on the other side of the courthouse. We got a chance to hear internationally the developments and everything was going on with the Maduro and Venezuela versus the US situation. We had some insights about the implications into the Caribbean. We heard from persons from around the Caribbean as well. I'm telling you, very interesting live. If you haven't already, thumbs up the live so that everybody will get a chance to see this in their timeline. And subscribe, support independent media.
The man said they're not getting opportunities to cross-examine the witness. That is true. You're not entitled to cross-examine witnesses in extradition. Only the formal witnesses, the one who are going to bring the paper. The evidence that is on that paper will not unfold in Guyana. It will unfold at the trial in the United States, where you will have all the opportunity to see the witnesses and cross-examine them. That is how extradition is done. And that process is over 100 years old. I don't think these guys ever did an extradition case in their life.
Hey, big back and forth. The Attorney General is saying the green. The man ain't know what's going on. This is how the cases go. The defense is saying, listen, political bias going on right here. And a railroading going on right here. But only time will tell in this situation.
And they go and lament. And I don't really, it doesn't concern me whether they know the law or not. What concerns me is their contamination of the public domain with unrivaled ignorance. That is my concern. Misleading the public and bringing the administration of justice into disrepute. That is my concern. Because when they do that, they're leading people to think that the administration of justice is being compromised. Whereas in truth and in law, they are either misunderstanding the law, misquoting the law, or maligning.
A number of things going on. Sally is saying this. If the United States want these people, how come they haven't come in to get them? I mean, they're right there. I mean, they got enough space on them boats, you know what I'm saying? How come they didn't come to get the people them that they wanted? Certain great questions being asked in the comment section. Thanks for being a part of the live presentation. Sally, 2846, big up yourself. Anthony is saying this. If what that guy is saying is true, why is the speaker not calling the meeting? Hey, Anthony, I think all of these big people over here, we realize what's really going on. But the thing is this. The implications of what's going on is what we got to hold in focus. These people really don't got no real respect for persons in the country that would have exercised that right to vote certain people into power. And we got to understand that it is showing a lot of similarities to dictatorship in what's going on right here. I'm telling you, big up yourself, Anthony, and thanks for dropping insights into the comment section.
Falsely and maliciously, the system that administers justice. And as officers of the court, they have a duty not to. And as Mr. Ford said, I am the head of the bar. And it is my duty to reprimand such conduct. So I thought that I'll spend some time in trying to clear the air on these matters. And the High Court trials are going on. Dates have been fixed. And as I said, if the committal hearing is concluded against them, we have another set of proceedings that will go up. And it's the same legal issues they're arguing all over again.
I'm telling you, PA is saying this. I suspect that if that extradition case is successful and Anil gets his way, it will backfire on the P.P.P regime, you know, because the Mohameds will have to divulge everyone in Guyana who they would have bribed. Ah, boy, I tell you, hey, we in for some interesting times. Some very, very interesting times in our beautiful nation. So much going on. So much going on, from the situation in Venezuela to the situation with the soon to be, or in normal situations would have been, opposition leader, now going through extradition proceedings, back and forth, and the wrangling and tangling on the ground in Venezuela that is causing a whole lot of migration in Guyana. Food prices and all types of things is skyrocketing. Where is the unity from the leaders? We're seeing a unity in the opposition. Now we need to see the house working together and the business of the people of Guyana, who is the most important resource of the nation, right? And the well-being of the people, the safety of the people is very important. And this can be more secure when there's a unified front, when the leaders are unified. Very important, very, very important things. And very important for us to keep these situations in focus. Because things like these are the matters that we really need to have real international conversation. All right thinking Guyanese, all right thinking persons in the diaspora and around the world. Right thinking conversations. I want to thank everybody that was in the live, everybody that dropped live commentary to make this live presentation what it is. Everybody that call in, big up yourself, and thanks for being a part of this live presentation. Remember, we're all here. We can all disagree, but let's not disrespect one another. We always make sure that we keep it cordial and respectful as much as we can. Why? Because we can always agree to disagree and do so respectfully. I want to big up everybody once again for being a part of the live. I want to ask everybody that's going to catch this live in the present right now. If you're live, take a couple of seconds and thumbs up the live. Make sure that you subscribe. And the same thing to those who's going to catch this in the rewind in the future. One love to every single person. And guess what? Just like that, Team Delta, the flight would have landed right here on Delta 9 Media. Thanks to every person that was a part of Tune, right? Thanks to every person that was a part of tuning in to Turn Up Tuesdays with Delta 9 Media. I'm telling you, so many headlines. Make sure that you subscribe, because we definitely got a number of videos to upload, and we always make sure that we send out that notification every time we go live right here on Delta 9 Media. Big up to everybody once again in the live. Big up to everybody that's tuned in, everybody that's going to catch us in the rewind, all the moderators, every single time. One love and salute to you, Team Delta. I will catch you in the next.
A natural way to stay ready, baby. 'Cause I'm ready for you, Mr. C. The ultimate male supplement, men's total wellness formula, packed with essential nutrients for men's health. She'll call you Mr. C.